Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is the Interstate Commission for EMS Personnel Practice. This is our March 12th, 2025. The agenda says 28. We have not advanced. We are in 2025. And welcome to the Executive Committee. I will go ahead and do roll call, and I'll recognize our Secretary, Commissioner House.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Going through the roll call. Commissioner Kenny.
Present.
Commissioner Denny. Commissioner House is present. Commissioner Vandeloon.
Present.
Commissioner Kaler.
Present.
And Commissioner Schmieder.
Present.
Awesome. You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone being here. Appreciate the executive committee. Appreciate all the commissioners on and all of the other officials that are electing to participate. We do encourage public participation. Microphones can be muted by the executive director for any noise or any challenges of that nature. If you would like to speak, we would ask that you use the raise hand feature. I will recognize you on there. You will be given 2 minutes to speak. And we usually, when I take comments on agenda items, I'll usually be exec committee first. Exec committee only votes. We do encourage other commissioners to make comments, and then the public may also comment as well. They use the raise hand feature. So with that, the agenda has been posted and is shared. Are there any matters that are not on the agenda that someone would like to address? Please use the raise hand feature. Seeing none, we will dive right into business, and we'll start with our old business. And we have the February 2025 meeting summary with Secretary House.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. So those meeting summary did go out within your packet and are there for your approval.
Thank you. Are there any corrections or notations to the proposed meeting minutes? Is there a motion to accept those and post those on the website?
So moved, Commissioner Vandeloon.
Thank you, Commissioner Vandeloon with the motion.
I'll second, Commissioner Kaler.
And Commissioner Kaler with the second. Thank you. Any further discussion? Any of the exec committee opposed? We will show that meeting summary approved, and it may be posted on the website. Now we'll go for a stakeholder advisory committee, something we approved, and we'll go to our executive director, Donnie Woodyard, for an update on that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So as the committee will recall, at the end of last year, we did make the decision to stand up a couple of stakeholder advisory committees. I have got nominations from a broad spectrum of our stakeholders, participants, and I believe we have enough to actually stand up that committee now and staff it. Now, one of the things that is remaining is, Mr. Chair, we will need a commissioner to lead that effort and to help champion that. I'll be happy to provide, obviously, the staff support for it. So that's really what's needed right now, is for a lead commissioner, either from the EC or not from the EC, to chair that advisory committee.
Okay, I will entertain discussion among the executive committee on how we should proceed. Commissioner Kaler.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to, I guess, nominate myself as the member at large. I think this is something that I could definitely take on.
Okay, that does seem reasonable. Other executive committee members, any thoughts, support, objections, other nominations? From the commissioners that are on the call, do any commissioners want to comment on the leadership for that stakeholder group?
think it's a good selection, and if I can help in any way, just let me know.
Thank you. Donnie, I believe the way that is, I believe I can designate. So I will
Yes.
go ahead and designate Commissioner Kaler as the exec committee designee for chairing that stakeholder group and reporting back to us.
Perfect. Mr. Chair, I will work with Commissioner Kaler from Wyoming. We'll get a meeting scheduled and a cadence for those meetings and get them public noticed. Looking forward to working with Commissioner Kaler.
For a quick question, do we have? I think we have two stakeholder groups, correct, or is it just one?
Oh, good question, sir. We stood up two. We stood up a general stakeholder one and then a federal advisory one. Thanks for asking about that. Mr. Chair, I would propose that we continue to stay the federal one. As we all know, the executive branch is going through a lot of reorganization right now. So I think it would be best for us to allow the executive branch to settle, and then we will revisit the federal stakeholder advisory committee.
Thank you. I will go ahead and I agree, unless any exec committee disagrees, then we'll go ahead and make that for the general stakeholder group, and we will continue to stay the exec committee. Excuse me, the federal committee.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, as we wrestle or work our way through the reorganization, is there a benefit to have a one or two federal people on the original general stakeholder just right now through the transition period? And I don't know who that would be. Maybe just ask if anybody wants to do it or something like that, but just a thought.
Let's focus on getting this first one. I do understand we're in the midst of, the federals a little bit, and their communications are important. Let's go ahead and add that to next month's, and let's see if we can get this first one going this month. Does that seem reasonable, Donnie?
It does, and I would just note, because these are advisory committees, there'll be public notice, they'll be open to the meeting, and we will invite our federal partners to attend and encourage their participation, even if they're not named, which actually might be a benefit for them to be able to participate, ironically.
Sure. Good point. I withdraw my recommendation.
Yep.
Thank you. But good questions. We definitely want to engage our partners. Okay, next up we have reports, and I'll go to Commissioner Vandeloon for Treasurer's report.
Thanks, Commissioner Kenny. But my treasurer report didn't make the book. Okay, so
I'm sorry, I do not have it in the book here. I
have it pulled up.
Yeah.
So I have a typo, and I have to apologize for the first date on there. It says 1/2/25. It should be 2/1/25. The balance is $66,286.33 as of February 1st. We have 3 debits, 2 for $6,425 and one reimbursement for $1,518.60. Making our pending balance as of 3/1 $51,917.73. And I'll entertain any questions.
And we haven't really had any unexpected expenditures this year, correct?
Nope.
Thank you. Any other questions for our treasurer? Okay, we will accept that report, and we'll move on to the chair's report. I don't have a lot today. I know Donnie has some updates that are going on. We have a couple of states in play. One might be slowed down a little, but we're kind of excited to track both Arkansas and Oregon, but hopefully they will continue to see a spread of the compact. With that, and then I would note I do encourage everyone to consider the in-person meeting that we have, and Donnie has the date corrected, May 14th, and that was due to the way NASIMSO shifted, not what we did. But we will meet in person in Grand Rapids for the NASIMSO annual meeting, and that is, of course, our only in-person meeting for the EMS Compact each year. We're going to talk a little bit later about the agenda for that. But please, if at all possible, attend that meeting for commissioners and exec committee. With that, I'll go ahead and recognize from the Bylaws and Rules Committee, Commissioner Speeder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really have nothing new to report. We took a little bit of time off only because we're kind of busy. I know we still have that one outstanding section that we withdrew from the last rule set. So we'll put together again, probably a meeting in April, or later this month, I should say, where we'll talk about that section. Do we want to recognize other credentialing bodies and stuff like that? So other than that, that's all the report I have, sir.
Thank you. And again, we appreciate the work that's being done by Bylaws and Rules. Recognize Executive Director Woodyard for his Executive Director report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will keep this report kind of brief because I've got things to cover under new business. As far as upcoming travel, we'll be headed to FDIC coming up here in just a couple of weeks in Indianapolis. Looking forward to being in your great state of Indiana, sir, Mr. Chair. But we will be doing a innovation talk about EMS Compact, and we're happy to be partnering with GEMS and FDIC to offer that. I was invited up to Alaska to provide a talk with executive directors from Psychology Compact, Nursing Compact, Medical Licensure Compact, and we'll be presenting in Alaska at a conference there. I will note that the state of Alaska has generously provided some travel assistance for that. As we all know, travel to Alaska is a little bit more expensive than hopping over to Indiana. And so the state is providing some travel assistance. While our total cost for that trip may not be zero, it will be significantly offset. And so we're grateful for the state of Alaska with that. Also for the unique opportunity to co-present with our colleagues from these other interstate compacts. I think that's very important. Arkansas, we do have a bill that is progressing very, very smoothly there. In fact, it's in committee this morning, and it did not get to that part of the agenda before they broke for lunch. They've probably reconvened, and it's killing me because I'm not listening to it right now. But it's probably passing through committee right at this moment, and I'll keep everyone updated on that. That would be the Senate committee. It's a House bill. It's already passed through the House. Very, very strong support on both sides. We anticipate a do pass recommendation. The legislation in Oregon got moved to a study bill late last night, and they're going to probably do a study bill on the compact, which hopefully will set a foundation for the future. I did get invited to speak in Mississippi at their state conference and to present about the compact. So appreciate our Commissioner Wyndham for helping to coordinate that. Looking forward to getting that solidified here in the coming months. Appreciate that. I would note that, again, for any commissioner or state out there, I'm happy to do a in-person or virtual workshop for you and for your employees and employers and clinicians. We are receiving a large number of customer service type questions, which tells me that the compact is being utilized. So any given day, it's probably ranging between 5 to 20 phone calls, emails, customer support type things of people with questions about the compact. So that's positive, yet it also points to more educations needed out there for the workforce. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll defer the rest until new business.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And so next we're up for the coordinated database update. And I would recognize Ray Mollers, maybe, if he's on.
And Mr. Chair, we have Stephen Wilson that will be
Oh, Stephen's doing that. Thank you. Stephen, welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I don't have anything to report. Ray didn't give me a report, so I apologize, but I don't have anything to report.
I do think we had a written report in our exec book. Does anyone have any questions based on the report that Ray submitted? And Stephen can try to answer it, even though he hasn't seen it.
I will try if there's questions.
I would note that we had a productive meeting with the CADIS here in Indiana, and they do seem to be moving ahead with better speed at trying to get a resolution to get our data in. And so we're hopeful to be compliant with that coming up, hopefully yet this year. Any other questions for National Register? Thank you for joining, Stephen. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Next up, EMS week draft resolution, Commissioner Donnie Woodyard. Commissioner Woodyard.
Retired commissioner. So as we noted, let me get down to it here. As the EC approved, we did enter into a no-cost agreement with ASEP to show our support for EMS week. We will be featured on their website and do some joint marketing on that, which I believe is positive for the compact, just be shown as a partner for EMS week. This is an updated resolution. We did one very similar to this last year. The language, like I said, is very, very similar. It's out there. Mr. Chair, we have a few options for this. This could be added to the agenda for the full commission after the EC reviews it. That would give us a few days actually in Grand Rapids the week prior to get it approved and ratified, then distributed right after that. So I think what I'd probably request is a recommendation of to add it to the agenda for the full EC. If the EC, I mean, for the full commission, if the EC is good with the language.
For the EC, I'm open to comments or any motions. I would note from my perspective, I normally would be like, maybe we should approve it so we can market it, but we've already signed off, to be part of their marketing. So I think we are showing support. And I know that Donnie says he can turn around and get it issued if we approve it at the in-person meeting. So I'm open to any discussion or motions from the EC.
Chair, I have two suggestions. I don't know if it's too late to even put it in there. I am pretty sure Wednesday of EMS week is also EMSC week, EMSC day. And I wonder if we should say a whereas on that date. And I don't know, maybe somebody else has heard this. I heard that they're going to recognize whole blood one day that week and try to get the country to get behind donating blood on that day. As a life-saving skill, and I haven't seen language on it. I just heard about it in a meeting last week, so I don't even know which day it was. I don't know if anybody's heard anything about it.
I've not heard about that, but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So I think we got very good ideas. Thank you, Commissioner Schmieder. I think that we could look at those. And it is possible that either one, we can approve this for an agenda item for then, and then we still have time to change the actual proposed resolution. We can either authorize Donnie to do that, or we'll have an exec committee meeting at the end of April, beginning of April. So I'm open, either one of those I think would work, or we could just table it to the April meeting. No thoughts. Commissioner House.
Thank you.
You unmuted. So
I did unmute. I'd make a motion that this go to the full commission, but in the meanwhile, work on some of the drafts to incorporate those EMS week things. So
we have a motion from Commissioner House.
I'll second Commissioner Vandeloon.
Second from Commissioner Vandeloon. Any further discussion from exec committee or any comments from any of the commissioners or public on? You can use the raise hand feature. Okay, any objection from the exec committee members to placing this on the agenda, but continue to update and wordsmith this? Okay, we will show it approved to be placed on the full commission agenda for the May meeting. And then Donnie, you can keep working as you get additional information on the drafts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will reach out to Commissioner Schneeder also on the Blood and EMS for Children Day. And then just one more comment on this is many state governors do their own resolution to acknowledge EMS Week. For our commissioners, if your state has not done that, it typically does require a request. And I'm just putting out there, the request can either come from your office with a sample resolution for the governor to consider, or another stakeholder can do that. I'm happy to submit a request to your governor's office on behalf of the commission if the commission would like for me to do that, and or I can offer any assistance to your office. So that's just a way of a comment. I think the more state governors that also recognize this is important for all of us. I'm ready for the next agenda item, sir.
Okay, and then the final new business that we have is Donnie felt we are not busy enough, and so he wanted to add. No, we had successful working groups, and Donnie requested to present on whether there is room to expand the working groups. And to me, it is very logical to take a look at that. So I will turn over to him for his thoughts and possible suggestions on that.
Yeah, no problem. Again, thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, the irony is, you know, the more work I propose for the commission is also more work for me. But I think it's important for the national system. And I will note the EMS Compact and the commission as the highest regulatory governmental body for the interstate practice of EMS has done some tremendous work in bringing the system together and collaboration between states and improving the system of practice. With that, I am proposing or seeking guidance, I would say, from the EC and proposing an opportunity for a new working group. I provided the background in the memo here. Obviously, this is not new for anyone. We do have the legislative authority and the requirement to look at collaboration between states and looking at personnel licensure. And so I would like to propose 3 options for consideration for our next working group. I would envision this working group would work similar to what we did for the bulk protection of data. That was about a little over a year worth of work to get a position paper. And I've received input on 3 options. Option number 1 is for the commission to create a work group that looks at the standards for EMS clinicians, or I should say the standards for EMS clinician licensure. And in particular, we recognize that as compact states, we have at least a uniform standard requiring the National Registry as the baseline for new licenses at the EMT and paramedic level. However, states are charged with looking at competency, morality, and other issues. So this work group, if the EC would like to move forward with it, would first do an assessment of what are the licensure requirements for each state, in addition to National Registry. Are there any additional requirements? If so, what are those requirements? Are there things such as affiliation with an agency as a requirement? Are there other requirements for degrees, etc.? So this would first look at that, and then it would come back with a type of a recommendation to help document best practices related to licensure in the compact states. That's option number 1 that's been brought to my attention. Option number 2 is a frequent topic of conversation that's been brought to my attention by stakeholders. And this is understanding that as states, states are charged, and this has been well established in the Supreme Court, to look at the morality of people that's being licensed. And you know, morality might be one of those terms that's difficult to get our heads around. But in the simplistic side, as state EMS offices, we are required to consider if an individual has a criminal background history and convictions. We recognize that. But what we do not have that I can find documented in the history of our profession is any type of a guidance document that provides some best practices or some recommendations. So for instance, I'm pretty confident that we all agree that if someone is issued a moving citation for running a stop sign, that probably does not impact their EMS clinician license. However, what if someone is arrested for petty theft? What happens if someone's arrested for felony theft because they sold a MacBook computer 10 years ago? Does that bar them for life? Does it bar them for a year? What is that? What is the impact of that, or what should the impact be? So this work group would carefully consider some of the big buckets of criminal findings, and in the vision in my head, it would essentially rate these on a sliding scale of a recommendation. I want to emphasize this work group would very much recognize state sovereignty. This is the individual decision of a state, but it would provide some guidance. For instance, we all would probably agree that murder in the first degree is a disqualifying offense. And that would be on one side of the scale. So this work group would have a very difficult task of looking at these different types, these different buckets of criminal offenses, coming up with some recommendations that then would hopefully assist state offices in some type of not only consistency, but to provide state offices some guidance as they deal with the very difficult questions. So that's option number 2. And then option number 3, Commissioner House, you will recognize this from a few months ago, but this is looking at the concept of license reciprocity. Do we have standards between states, compact and non-compact state, for license reciprocity? We recognize that with the EMS compact, your license is good and you can practice in any of our 24 states. Yet we also encourage EMS clinicians to get licensed in the state that they call their residential home, or where they have, their permanent full-time work in. We recognize that as a best practice, but what does that look like? And is there any type of a standard that we could recommend if you're going to a compact state, from a compact state, if you're going from a compact state to a non-compact state, or from a non-compact state to a compact state? So this would take a broader look at that and see if there's any recommendations of best practice. So with that, Mr. Chair, these are 3 ideas. I'd be open for any questions, any direction, or idea number 4 or 5, if that's the will of the committee.
Based on the time commitments of the prior and such, did you have a recommendation in terms of how many we should tackle at a time? Like, if we had interest in all 3, are all 3 feasible, or is it better to start with 1 or 2?
At this junction, Mr. Chair, I would recommend we limit it to 1. And we limit it to 1 where we can have a high degree of confidence that we'll produce a guidance document that will benefit the national EMS system, both for compact and non-compact states.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for your work in developing the document and the concepts. I know you took them from ideas like Commissioner House had. I think it's great that we're advancing the dialogue. And so I'm curious, I kind of lean towards, I really like option 2. Option 3 is a solid one too. But I'm curious what the exec committee thinks, and we'll go from there. So any thoughts?
Let it be said that I never not have something to say. And Donnie, great work on these. And maybe just from my understanding, for option 1, I wonder if that would be a good charge for the general stakeholders as something for them to grasp it and take a look at and make some recommendations up. I'm not it might make them feel like they have a purpose here, and it's just something I just throw out on the table. And I would agree with you, Chairman, on number 2 being our main focus if we were going to move ahead on anything. But I just wanted to throw out the concept for option 1.
Good points. Thank you. Other thoughts? Other thoughts from any of the commissioners that are on the call or public? If you want to use the raise hand, I can recognize you. It's up in the taskbar at the top. But yeah, I'd love to hear from other people. Thank you, Teresa, on option 2. Go ahead, Teresa. Commissioner Wyndham.
That's all I was going to say. Since we have been in compliance with the compact and started our background checks, there's areas that I've got questions on that I could use some. That would be good to have that guidance from the compact. So if we had that that option 2, if we had a committee that worked on that, that would be very beneficial.
I do think I know. Go ahead.
And I'm willing to help however I can.
Thank you. That'll be the next task. If we move on, will be to fill spots. I do, and I understand when I started, I was in our legal, and we actually do, which I'm glad to share. We have a grid that we created that has some of these things because we wanted to make sure we were consistent, but yet we are in a silo. I don't know what Illinois does for discipline. Well, none of the surrounding states are in the compact, but it'd be nice to hear what others say. Commissioner Herrera. Oh, Commissioner Wyndham, go ahead.
No, that's what I was going to say. What I did in our state is reach out to fire and law enforcement to see how they were handling this, to try to set up something similar. But that's not moving as quickly as I would like for it to. So I have people waiting, and I actually need them working. But I want to be consistent in what I do.
Thank you. Commissioner Herrera.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I love that option 2. We have great guidance, especially now being under Department of Public Safety. We've actually had recent cases where we have a pretty great standard like you described in your state. So I'd love to help in any way I can. It'd be great.
We heard from a couple of commissioners open to more comments, or also open to any motions from the executive committee. Seems like option 2 seems to be popular, but.
Well, Mr. Chair.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner House. Sorry about that.
Awkward silence. That's what it ultimately comes down to there. I'd be happy to make a motion to proceed with option 2.
Thank you. We have a motion to proceed with option 2 as a work group on the criminal background. Is there a second?
Commissioner Kaler, I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Kaler with the second. Is there any further discussion? And were you going to add anything that you'd like to add, Donnie? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say, what I would see as the next step is I would then prepare a prospectus of the subcommittee and the work, and how I would envision it would meet, and I could have that ready for the next EC meeting. Or if you would like, I can work with you on that, and then we can distribute it to all the commissioners so that maybe at the next EC meeting we have some sense of interest from the full commission of who would like to be perhaps assigned to that work.
Thank you. I think what kind of made sense in my mind, and we have a couple of people that may be interested on here, I think having the prospectus, and then if I work with you, we can email and get interest. And then if we need any input from a future exec committee, we can, but at a minimum, we would then announce who's going to chair the work group and what type of, with the membership and things like that. I think that'd be a good route, unless the exec committee has guidance further than that. So back to the motion from the exec committee. Is there any objection to proceeding? Okay, then we will go ahead and proceed with that. And then I would ask you work with me and we'll get that out and we'll get membership. If you're on here, we heard a couple people, Commissioner Wyndham, we will put you down, possibly Commissioner Herrera as possible members. If you are interested, let Donnie and I know, and he will send out a formal email as well, seeking interest. I will advise everyone as we move on. I have a 4 o'clock appointment and I have to get there. So I'm going to be switching to my phone. So it'll be a little harder to monitor, but we're down to partner updates and then the adjournment. I would note as we get close to the adjournment, our next exec committee is on April 2nd. We will have one on May 7th before we have a full commission meeting in Grand Rapids on the 14th. So with that, we have partner updates. Yes, go ahead.
My apologies. I deferred one item from my EC update, from my executive director update. If I could address that before we move forward.
Yes.
So sorry, the one item I did defer was a memo related to the agenda for the annual meeting. And this is in your book for consideration. We do have 3 hours allocated from NASIMSO, and we are grateful for that partnership and that opportunity there for our in-person meeting. I do recognize that we'll probably need to have a formal, let me rephrase that. We will have a formal full commission meeting while we're there, but it's been brought to my attention that maybe we do a couple of work groups that would benefit not only the commissioners and the commission states, but perhaps any state officials that are in attendance. And so I worked up 2 ideas for the EC to consider. And certainly happy to modify this or go a completely different direction. But the first proposal I would say is that for our first 1 hour time block, we offer an EMS Compact 101 session. And this would be both for commissioners and any state EMS official that wanted to attend. And this would be the overview of what are compacts, how do they work, how do they function. I will note that Christy, our counsel, will be there and she would be able to co-present with this. And then we would follow that up in a best practice workshop on personnel licensure discipline. This would not cross over into the agenda item we just covered, but this would rather focus on what is the best practice for states as we go through a disciplinary process. What are the forms that we can use? How do we make sure that our public notices and our discipline notices and our board orders, what information should be on there? For instance, the compact law requires that every board order address the privilege to practice. I'm still seeing that board orders and state orders for discipline are not including that. We would also use this as an opportunity to go over the MPDB and the NMSCID discipline codes, what they mean, and how do you put these codes together. So this would essentially be a workshop both for commissioners and any state official that'd be interested. And then finally, a 1 hour time slot for the full commission meeting. So Craig, I believe, is transitioning to phone, but would open this up. I don't know if maybe, I don't know, Craig, if you can unmute. If not, I believe it would fall to Commissioner. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yes, so I'm open comments from the executive committee on the proposed agenda.
Right. Or Donnie, the only question I would have is what are we competing with at the same time that the SEMSO's meeting? You know?
Yeah, I looked at that. I believe it's, sorry, I can't answer that off the top of my head. They gave us a very favorable time slot.
Okay, I was trying to look too so I could figure it out, but I didn't get there quick enough.
I believe it's council meetings that will still be going on, but we have the opportunity.
Great, thank you.
And I would say, I hope that none of this would be seen by our NSIMSO colleagues, as we have a couple of their board members also on the call with us, as any type of competition, but rather synergy support for their annual meeting. So, yeah.
And Donnie, you are right. I'm looking at the agenda at a glance. There's a board meeting from 12 to 1:30, and then we're from 2 to 5 on the schedule. But there's some council meetings, data, education, medical directors, pediatric, and trauma managers meeting at the same time. So I think we're probably good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What time were those council meetings?
They're all day. I jumped off. Here we go. It looks like council's meeting starts from 8 to 3. That's data, education, medical directors, pediatric, and trauma managers. And then from 3:15 to 5, it's data managers, smarts, or community paramedicine, and smarts during the afternoon.
From my perspective, what I did like on looking at the agenda, I think the initial stuff, if there was a conflict and a commissioner felt they really wanted to pick up with the council, they could still make sure they make the heart of the matters. You know, that first section
Sure.
probably is not as key. So I did like seeing that.
Yep. It was good planning.
Other thoughts, any thoughts on the actual content? I like the ideas from my perspective, but I'm open to either other suggestions or whether those are good for you.
Mr. Chair, I think the content looks great. I encourage it. I think it opens it up to very much support the compact and its mission.
Thank you. Other. Okay, Donnie, back to you. Do you need any more feedback or have any other questions for the group? Or I should say, I ask executive committee, also open if any of the other commissioners on here have feedback as well.
I see no movement with that, Mr. Chair. You know, I don't think this requires a motion per se, and I can coordinate with NSIMSO and see if we can add this as sub meetings within our allotted time frame for that.
That sounds great. Thank you for your planning and always being on top of it.
No problem. And Mr. Chair, I know that you're traveling. We're down to partner updates.
Does any of the partners, I saw a few on here. First of all, thank you for joining, even if you elect not to give an actual update. If anyone would like to give an update, if you want to use the raise hand, then Donnie can advise.
Yes, we have Clary Moe with NHTSA. Clary.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Not a whole lot to report on. As you know, a lot of things are on pause. But I do have a request of a couple of you, and I've already sent, you should have something in your inbox. What we're trying to do is reach out to counties or sub-jurisdictions of states to inform them about all the cash that's still available for SSRA grant program. It's like over $1 million now, or excuse me, billion with a B. So a lot of that money is still available, and what we'd like to do is be able to reach out to counties or cities. And the way we've chosen those counties and cities of subdivisions is we've looked at FARS data and we've looked at NMSIS data, both for adults and pediatrics. and discovered there are some places where those individual sub-jurisdictions could potentially benefit from doing demonstration grant programs for planning or implementation, maybe perhaps for pre-hospital blood programs. So if you could help me out with those, a couple of you, I'd appreciate it. And I think those probably already know who I'm talking to if they look at their inbox. That's all I can update for now, and thank you for the opportunity to ask for that assistance.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yep. Go ahead, Craig.
I was just saying thank you. I was glad to hear from him. Any other comments? Okay, any other matters? I believe we're up against adjournment. Anything further, Donnie, from your end?
Yeah, the only thing I would note is I trust everyone saw the press release for Commissioner Bierman Fout from Virginia. Just for transparency of this committee, we did have a little paperwork snafu. So I feel kind of bad. Her appointment was signed off by the state on February 10th, which was before our commission meeting, but it was not delivered to my office until later. And so, she was on that call, and unfortunately we were not able to seat her because we were not in receipt of that. So that's why if you saw the press release and you saw the date, it was backdated to the 10th when the governor actually made the appointment. It was just a delay in actually getting the paperwork processed into our office here. Once it was received in my office, we processed it literally within 2 hours. But that was the purpose of that delay. But we're thrilled to have Maria on board with that. Other than that, sir, I have nothing else for the agenda.
Okay, thank you. And I'm glad we got that clarified. I know Donnie and I both have been in communication with Maria. We're excited to have her on board now as the clearly designated commissioner for Virginia. So if there is nothing further, then I will go ahead and adjourn for the day. Again, always thank you to the exec committee, all the commissioners that took time, and all the members of the public, and of course to Donnie for his coordination. Everyone have a nice day.
Thank you.